I chose to do my project on Beethoven and Mozart. Last semester I took a class, Intro to Music, with Dr. Peter Acro. And we actually studied the different style periods and the different composers of the different style period time. So I know a little about Beethoven and Mozart, and we also actually listened to a lot of their symphonies and even one or two of Mozart's operas. I'm going to start off talking about Beethoven. Beethoven was born in 1770 in Bonn, Germany. Beethoven started showing his musical gifts at a very young age. Um, his father would actually wake him up in the middle of the night to make him get out of bed and practice and play for his guests, especially when he was drinking. His father was known to be, I guess you could say, an alcoholic or whatever. But Beethoven was also known as a child prodigy as well as Mozart. His father wanted him to be as successful as Mozart. Beethoven gave his first public performance when he was 7 years old um, in Cologne. His father tried to say that he was 6 years old, but he was indeed 7 years old. Gottlob Neff, who was Beethoven's mentor, or you could say his first teacher. Um, Neff was a full-time teacher. He was also a composer and musician, and he recognizes Beethoven's talent, and with that, he sent him he sent him to Vienna, where he was introduced instead of other great composers like Mozart. Beethoven's compositions were always messy. Like nobody could really read his work. Like they were all over the place. And with this being said, his work has a lot of um, extreme, or I guess you could say like sudden changes in it. Beethoven greatest works. One of Beethoven's greatest works was the Symphony Number Three. Um, at the time, it was supposed to be dedicated to Napoleon. Um, Beethoven admired him. Um, he said that he was inspired, I guess you could say, by his ideals and freedom and a few other things. But Beethoven became, I guess you could say, distraught when Napoleon crowned himself emperor in 1804. So he didn't even dedicate the symphony to him anymore. This symphony number three became a big turning point in Beethoven's music career, and not only in his music career, but a big part of history as far as it goes with music. Also, the Symphony Number Nine was written when Beethoven became deaf. He also used choir singers with this piece, and at the time, this was very unlikely because a lot of people didn't use, choir singers or any choir singers with their pieces. Next, I'm going to talk a little bit about Mozart. Wolfgang Mozart, that's his first name. Mozart was born in Salzburg, Austria in 1756. He's the seventh child of his siblings, um, who are all deceased besides his sister. Mozart and his sister were the only two to live past infancy. His other sisters and brothers died when they were still babies. Mozart's father introduced him and his sister to music at a very young age. Um, him and his sister were both very talented, and his father, Lipo Mozart, was also a very well known and respected violin and composer in his time. Once he realized that Mozart and his sister were so talented, he devoted a lot of his time with both children. He also took them on tours to show their talents, as they got older, and they traveled and played for others. Um, as Mozart got older, his reputation began to grow, because not only was he talented with music, he also composed his own music. Um, he played for kings and queens. So he was very talented, and he was also known as a child prodigy. Two of Mozart's greatest operas were The Marriage of Figaro and Don Giovanni. Um, Mozart music is very simple, and very contrasting, or you could even say very dramatic. Um, Mozart music is from the classical era, which also bumps head a lot with the romantic era, um, which is where Beethoven is from, the romantic era. Comparing both Beethoven and Mozart, well, they're both are two of the greatest composer and well-known, respected composers of all time. A lot of their music is used a lot within a lot of the bands nowadays. Um, some they have a lot of childhood comparisons. Both of their fathers pushed them to practice their music. Neither Beethoven or Mozart really had a great relationship with their father. Um, as I mentioned earlier, Beethoven's father had an alcohol addiction, and Beethoven, as Mozart got older, um, he just kind of, I guess you could say, distant away from his father. Um, both, when they were children, were known as child prodigies. Both were influenced by Franz Joseph Haydn. And to sum it all up, both Beethoven and Mozart are very influential composers of all time.